What is up, guys? Eric Janicki back here with another video. I got my man Jared Feather, IFBB Pro Classic Physique competitor. He's a week and a half out from a show and he agreed to work out with me. And this is a big deal for me, guys. So taking a deep breath right now because I told him a second ago, I haven't let anybody lead me through a workout. I'm not even like joking about this. Anybody lead me through any portion of a workout in like 8 to 10 years. Like I'm the guy, like I'm gonna lead the workout. So I'm gonna relinquish a little control here because I have so much respect. This is one of the smartest dudes I know. If you don't follow him, go and follow him. Instagram, he's starting more YouTube. This dude trains with Nick Walker, and that is saying something. The number 3?
Yep, we got
number 3 in the world right now. Trains with this guy, so that's saying something. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna hop into a push day. We're gonna do a little chest and tries.
God, I gotta talk about myself.
I know, right?
This is crazy. My name is Jared Feather. I'm an IFBB Classic Physique Pro. I have a master's degree. I have a few degrees. A master's in sports physiology with exercise metabolism emphasis. I work for a company called Renaissance Periodization. Maybe you guys know of that company. Dr. Mike Israetel is my professor, now colleague and good friend, co-author of a few books. You might have heard of them. Scientific Principles of Hypertrophy Training, things like that. I do consider myself of higher intellectual value in this field, but not as much as he made it out to seem. It's really cool that he's letting me lead the session. I truly, I'm honored. I'm honored by that, man. That's really neat. It takes a lot of humility. It's kind of like whenever Nick was like, hey man, take the reins. I was like, oh shit, okay, let's shoot this shit.
That's a big...
It's super cool, man. I really appreciate it. Also, you're doing that so that, you know, I don't hurt myself, obviously. So I really appreciate it. It's gonna be a fun workout though.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do push, chest tries. What I want you guys, we're gonna talk you through why we're doing what we're doing as we do it, and you'll start to see what we mean by how methodically it is. He has a very scientific approach to training. It's very effective. Also, I told him that we're gonna film me in 360. We're gonna film him in 4K because he looks more shredded. I'm more shredded than him right now, but I didn't want to make him feel bad. He's got a show coming up, so we're gonna film me in 360. So if it looks like he's a little leaner than me, that's what it is. But I figured I'd do him a nicety.
Technically, that's gonna make you look better.
Because I'm very more grainy.
Yeah. That's why the bodybuilders back in the day were way leaner.
Oh yeah, I love that.
See that 720 quality, and you're like, dude, what are you talking about?
that whole like bodybuilders then versus now is a talk for another day. But without further ado, let's get to the workout. All right, starting with a 90-degree bench setup on the narrow cable. The impetus here is going to be, we're warming up the chest, we're opening everything up. The good thing about a cable fly as compared to, let's say, a dumbbell fly, machine fly, you're going to enable yourself to get pretty much as much stretch as you want. You can also control the angle. So you can see him moving this down a little bit. With cables, literally, the sky's the limit in terms of the customization, the vectors of force, because with a dumbbell, that vector force is always going straight through the floor. With cables, due to the pulley system, you can literally have it high, you can have it low, and it's really cool because also the weight, the cable, the vector force is coming from out to in, so you can get a peak contraction here, whereas with a dumbbell, if you're, let's say, under bench, if your dumbbell's here, it's gonna be called stacking the joint. So dumbbell, vector force straight down, elbow, shoulder, you have almost no peak contraction in the middle of a dumbbell fly. The impetus on a dumbbell fly is more on that stretch. So with a cable fly, since the vector, the force is coming from out to in, you're able to get a good peak contraction in the center of the rep.
Nothing about physics or anything like that. It all sounded nerdy and shit, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that science stuff. I'm just kidding. No, this is a really good exercise to warm up with. He says he likes to also do something like this, but basically we're warming up by doing a form of pre-exhaustion before we go into heavier compound stuff. When you're real big and strong, especially like Eric, he's a 270-pound man, probably benches in the 4s, I would assume. If you can really isolate the tissue, push a bunch of what are called metabolites, get a good pump before you move on to your pressing, then that makes the chest the limiting factor. And that's exactly what we're trying to do today.
What I'm doing at the back of my rep is just like some rotations. So I'm just like feeling through that pec minor and getting really good stretch at the back of my rep and just opening that tissue under force. It's kind of like how when people do banded work and they're here. I'm pretty strong in this capacity just because I do so much work in that stretch position. So I would not recommend doing this under force when you're not ready for it, but then once you get acclimated to really focusing on the stretch of your rep, you can I can play around back here and it's no pressure on the shoulder, no pain, it just feels a good stretch to that pec minor.
You can notice when I come down, I'm actually trying to touch that wall with my chest, and that happens on the way up too. So you're gonna see a lot of people when they do stuff like this, they go like this. Yeah. I'm all day right here, this is fucking easy. Like the whole point of this exercise is to stretch the pecs.
And the
tight retraction.
The way to help with that, very easy cue. is just pull that lower back as far as you can. Over accentuate that back arch because that's gonna essentially puff up your chest.
Yep.
So
the press and retract, it's a good thing for your shoulders. Not a bad thing, you TikTokers. This makes it so much easier because you're using so much front delt. You keep your chest this way. Like I'm literally thinking as I'm coming down, touch that wall, touch that wall, touch that wall. And then even when I get here, I'm like, okay, now really touch that wall, touch that. Instead of letting everything cave forward. Like this is the easiest shit ever. Anybody can do this. Come on. Yeah. Again, you got another one there. Go. But back to your chest. Big, oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, you got another one. You got another one. Big chest, foot flush. Slide forward, all chest. All chest, all chest, all chest. Butt coming forward, makes it more of like a decline-ish fly. People love that shit because it makes it easier too. If you keep that butt back and the only thing you're thinking about the entire time is just that stretch on the chest, the more you do an exercise, the better you get at it, obviously. It really hits the hell out of your chest.
yeah, it's interesting. I usually have a tendency to do that. Almost pull the butt forward to get even more arch. Probably making it a little easier. Probably making the impetus a little bit more, like you said, on that lower pec, where it's a lot harder to hit and focus through that mid-upper chest throughout the whole rep. Because yeah, obviously it alleviates it here when you go here, collapse it. So what he's having me do is push it and keep it pushed that whole rep.
Yep. Great stretch, great chest toward me. That chest is supposed to touch mine. Yep. Come on. Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chest only. Chest only, chest only. Come on now. Come on. Come on. I just forgot another one. Nice and slow, nice and slow. Not so. More. Chest only, chest only, chest only, chest only, chest only. Fuck yeah, Eric. That's what I'm talking about. Great.
Oh man.
Notice his control in the last rep. You start with a concentric, so it wouldn't make sense to just drop the shit, which is what most people do. So he's controlling that last bit, even isometrically holding that final eccentric a little bit, really milk the stretch, get a shitload out of that. Stretch mediated hypertrophy, look it up. It's being shown more and more to be the biggest causative of growth hypertrophy, up to 80%. So you can get a lot out of your eccentrics. Notice the tempo we're using, you're probably gonna grow more muscle tissue. You can make training like this fun. It's hard as hell, it can seem mundane, but it can be fun. And he's the king of having fun with his trainings, and he uses 4-range of motion and control eccentrics all the time. I watch this stuff, it's great, so take notes.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, stretch mediated hypertrophy I think is the future. Twofold. One, you're gonna induce more levels of hypertrophy. Number two, you train the muscle long, your body's gonna stay healthier. The reason that so many people have to do undue amounts of mobility work, and I'm not saying the mobility work is bad, but if you train super explosively in tiny, short range of motion, the sarcomeres which basically make up your muscle, you're shortening that. And so if you can lengthen all of your tissue as you train, if you're training long, you're gonna remain more healthy. I think you agree with that, Jared?
I would say layman terms, stretching is stupid. This is literally stretching. So if you're doing a straight leg deadlift, what does that mimic? Remember gym class, what they have you do at the beginning of class? Sit and reach, toe touch, holding that. You have a fucking 300-pound barbell in your hand and you're doing that exact motion, going like this. Oh, that is a huge stretch. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not that flexible. I promise you, over time, if you can get that bar to the floor with good technique, not moving anything, not causing any injury, you're going to have more flexible hamstrings, and they're going to be huge.
Well, let's see what this pump looks like. And also, if you guys want the best quality clothing, like, feel this shit, dude. Like, bro.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, pump covers coming off, dude. You gotta catch that first. So.
Good lord.
City's already pumped.
All right, what do we hit next, dude?
So I'm thinking Smith bench just because we don't have the cambered bar. I'm a week and a half out. Imparting novelty onto a tissue, like this is a novel exercise for Eric, so stopping at 2 sets is very intelligent. He's definitely used to doing these types of things, but throughout the course of the last 4 weeks, I don't assume you've done this exact variation, which means that is a novel stimulus. That is one way to cause a shitload of damage to your muscle tissue, but you also can't interrupt the directed adaptation where you should do that often and in sequence. So directed adaptation means that you want to do something over and over again to get better at it, which is why you don't just change everything every fucking session. That wouldn't make much sense. This is something to impart maybe over the course of like 4 weeks at a time, then change it just a little bit, maybe put the notches down, use a dumbbell, whatever it may be. So for him, this will be a shitload of damage. For me, I've been doing this the entire mesocycle, the last 6-7 weeks or so. So I'm trying not to change too many things, so I'm not imparting that novel stimulus, which will then really mess me up for next week, and that will likely interfere with my peaking method for my show. So really close to contest, terrible idea to make all new variations. If you're like changing from one training block to another, it's a great idea, because something's feeling stale, you're like, I don't get a good pump from benching anymore. Cool, use a cambered, use a Smith, whatever it may be. Yep, I like it way up to my clavicle. Same concept. On the way down, you're pushing your chest to the ceiling. On the way up, you're trying to push your chest to the ceiling as well. Retract to press the scapula. Not moving around a ton. High on the clavicle as possible. Nice control and pause.
Where's your grip at on this?
Dealer's choice, man. What do you enjoy the most? Oh, that's a stretch. Give me a nice pause. Push your chest up right there. Chest up to the ceiling. There you go. Good. How many times in your life have you come into the gym and you were having like you were tired, you were taking care of the kids or something at night, and you did a set, and you did a second set, and the second set you were like, oh wow, my second set felt better. That's part of it, right? So one way we can mitigate that is by doing a proper warm-up sequence, which includes not just the warm-up, but a potentiation set that leads into your working sets. And to put that in layman terms, I talk about this everywhere. It's called quote unquote, it's not exactly what's happening, but it'll just make sense to you all. You're priming the nervous system for the working load for the day. And you can do that via two kind of valleys. The first is working up to this precise working weight and doing 1 to 2 reps at that weight, racking, waiting 2 to 3 minutes, and then going. You could also do number 2, working up to 10% more than your working weight for the day, which I actually like that method quite a bit, and then doing 2 reps or a rep, racking, going to your working weight. So if I were to put on 255, do a couple, come back down to 225, 3 minutes later start my working sets, that kind of gets rid of that whole, okay, set 1 felt shaky as hell, but set 2 I was really fucking locked in. You just lock yourself in right away. That way every set is more effective through the session. We've technically already kind of hit the pecs, but because we did an isolation exercise first, this doesn't make sense. However, if we were to do incline bench, hammer bench, dumbbell bench, unless you're changing muscle groups, that whole potentiation thing doesn't make much sense. So when we go into our triceps, we'll probably do the same thing. Work up to through a full warm up, do a potentiation set, and then go. But like if we were to do like a hammer strength press after this, we could likely just walk over there, put on our fucking working weight and go, because we're already ready to go. But when you change muscles, and I train like 4 or 5 muscles in the same session, like oftentimes I'm doing chest, triceps, biceps, and lateral delts all together, unless I split them up into AM, PM sessions, which I do a lot. So each time you switch the muscle group, quads and hamstrings, for example, calves, work through that whole warm-up sequence again, potentiate, and then go into your working sets. I like to lock it out forcefully, like I'll go to the top and lock out. A lot of people, and you see this shit on TikTok and wherever else, will say not to lock out, keep tension on the pecs, blah, blah. You are going to hit your front delts and your triceps, no matter what, in this exercise, okay? So locking it out, like just soft lock out right back down, is a good thing. You're getting more stimulus to those muscles. You don't have to like pause at the top, take some tension off the pecs so you can get more reps, kind of like when people squat and you see them, and then they say they got 10 reps, really it's like 5 cluster reps. you're gonna hit those muscle groups no matter what. So the reason it was a soft lock out here is because I am trying to really fucking exhaust my pecs. Still locking it out, nice and soft. Same thing with my leg press. People are always like, well, Mike locks it out all the way and you kind of just stop barely right before the top. Like, yeah, it just makes it to where I'm getting more effective reps sooner, because I could pause here and I could have probably got 20 reps. Pause, pause. Like, it would have made my rep count higher, but that's not why we're here. We're not here to chase reps. We're here to train the target muscle. So that nice soft lockout, hitting that front delt and tricep, boom, right back down, chest, chest, chest. A little bit of front delt tricep. It's gonna happen no matter what. You should probably use it to your benefit. It's a good idea. I know what you guys are thinking. Shut the nerdy ass dude with the weird haircut up already. I'm tired of listening to him talk. I get it. Me fucking too. Eric is actually convincing me to do something that I have probably not done in the last 10 years of my bodybuilding. I'm gonna get the rep count that I was going for, and he's gonna help me with 2 or 3 more forced concentric phases. So I'm going beyond failure here. This is actually a pretty good intensity technique if you have a training partner. It's not something you want to do all the time. It causes, basically, if you were to think about the fitness fatigue paradigm, it causes a shitload of fatigue, which decreases fitness over the long term. And if you continually, repeatedly do that through bouts, training sessions, you actually get worse. But I am overreaching currently, which just means I'm taking my volume up beyond what I'm used to before I deload during that peak week. Because my deload is like fucking resting, basically. For peaking, and then I come in, do some light sessions, I carb up at the end of the week, I look awesome, I get on stage, whatever. So I'm taking this shit to just all out failure this week, killing myself. And an intensity technique that I would throw in normally is like a superset, mile rep sets, giant sets, cluster sets, things like that. So with Eric, he's like, hey, let's do some forced reps. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it. First time in 10 years you guys will be seeing this shit.
Notice I'm pausing. These pauses are at the top of my chest. I'm not sinking in and pushing off hard. So nice pause. Chest is meeting the bar. Little movie style kiss.
Easy. I got you about 40% now. We're gonna keep going. Good. 50% now. We're gonna keep going. Good. Now we got 70%. And go. 2 more. Go. Last one. Also slow push. Slow push. Slow as you can. Slower. Now rack that fucking thing.
Oh my God, that was good. I'm not gonna be able to help you that much because I'm fucking weak, but I'll help you up to 50%.
Yeah, so what I was giving was verbal cues as he was hitting that. I said, I'm giving you 20%, I'm giving you 30%, I'm giving you 40%. So in his head, 2 things are happening. One, he knows, first of all, how much generally I'm helping him. Second of all, it gives him that confidence for me to say, hey, I got you 50%, 60%. Because in his head, he's like, okay, I got this shit. Okay, I got this shit. When I say 70%, 80%, he's like, even if I go down, I'm not gonna kill myself because he's got me right now. So
this is probably one of the dumbest exercises to do force reps on. If you're gonna do shit like this, save it for like a hammer strength or something like that. Because if you don't have your technique honed in like me and Eric here, where you're really controlling the eccentric, especially from here to here, that's where those fucking pec tears happen. A lot of people have the tendency to just fucking drop it. And when the fibers aren't used to that last bit of range of motion, that's when tears happen. If you want to do force reps as an intensity technique toward the end of a training block, save it for some machines or shit like that. We're doing them here just because me and him have pretty damn good technique. But keep that in mind. Great tension. So 1 more will help. Press. Good. Another 10%. Press. Good. Okay, let's go 50%. Yep.
what I'm gonna do, give me down to the bottom. I'm gonna hit like 3 to 4 partials. Three more. 2 more.
Rack.
I was like, where the fuck's the rack, bro? Oh.
I'm pretty cooked after all that volume. So my other chest day was 3 days ago. I did about 8 total working sets, 5 or 6 today, not including what we're about to do. So I'm going to do a lying JM skull. I'll show you what that looks like. Superset to a close grip press. So it's just a tricep superset. This is one of those intensity techniques that we were talking about earlier. My last exercise for this session, I'm gonna come back later, do like my lateral delts, biceps, things like that. He might cap it off, I have no idea. It's up to him. He might be fried after this, who knows. But we're gonna do probably 3 or 4 sets here. And it's gonna be fun. A big ass tricep pump.
So the reason this feels so good for me, and usually it hurts for so many people, this right here, elbows being tight in this stretch position, you don't see me holding it. It's not because it feels like great in terms of like the fact that like, ooh, I could stay down here forever, but that stretch through my tricep, especially when I push the elbows in, feels so good. And that's why I don't really feel like I used to have a lot of elbow pain on this type of like skull crusher or overhead extension type movement, but because I've been focusing so much more on this stretch mediated hypertrophy, not going quite as heavy, I feel like I have literally 0 elbow pain and just crazy amounts of burn through the tricep. Which head are we hitting more here, Jared?
Outer head here is getting fucking wrecked.
Correct.
Most vertical pressing stuff, so push downs, overhead extensions, hit a lot of these two here. It's just biased or emphasis in a different head. You're still hitting the entire thing no matter what. So when you hear the words like, well, you're missing out on this because it's not this biased, it's like, okay, but you're still hitting the entire thing. And if you can keep the same range of motion, the same technique on a specific exercise, and it feels good for you, the stimulus is high, the fatigue is low, keep fucking doing it that way, it's okay.
Alright guys, so we probably just packed as much knowledge in like you've ever probably heard in a YouTube video about stretch mediated hypertrophy, time under tension. What was the priming sets you called them?
Potentiation sets.
Potentiation sets.
What intensity techniques look like, all kinds of fun stuff.
Modulating your exercises over time, not over modulating. So there was a lot in this video, but what the main takeaway I think is that you have to be specific with your training. If you just come in and you check the boxes and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do some freaking dumbbell bench press, I'm gonna do some dumbbell incline bench press, and you have no like specificity, intentionality with your training, you're not gonna get any type of specific results, because specific results require specificity. So I want you guys to watch this back, take away what you need from it, but the biggest thing is to have structure to your training, have intentionality to training, and push those mental plateaus of, yes, it is easier to press like this, right? But to do this, so much more mentally taxing. It's gonna be more taxing on your CNS, it's gonna be more aerobically taxing. So you're not gonna wanna do it, but what I tell people, if you're probably not wanting to do it when you're training, it's probably the right thing to be doing. Right. But if you are not already following Jared, RP Strength, the whole crew, you must. They are a breadth of knowledge, and they will educate you to the nth degree, more than you probably would ever need for your purposes, but it's like the best possible, basically, university you could go to. Go watch their YouTube, their Instagram, but I will let him take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was an honor. We've been trying to do this for a while, so it was a damn good time. I'm glad we got to. Next time when I'm peak off season, he can hold me to it. I'll let him put me through some shit, which I'm the same way as you. I don't let people put me through anything. I've coached myself for 12 years. Nobody's ever had a hand on my training, on my diet, anything. It's all been me the entire time. But if he wants to like fuck around and, I don't know, I see you sprint, I see you do box jumps and shit, I'm down. I used to be a pretty good athlete, so we'll have some fun. But like you said, follow Renaissance Periodization, RP Strength YouTube channel. I'm starting my own YouTube channel as well, Jared Feather, just type my name in. We're coming out with the hypertrophy app. It's gonna be huge. It already has like 12K signups for the beta test list, which is fucking awesome. We seriously appreciate you guys. We appreciate that you're like-minded, that you value the more educational and science-based side of things. And even if you're just here to watch this big manly man lift fucking heavy weights, you're getting a lot of that too. So thank you a ton. Thanks for having me on, Eric. Pleasure.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
And as always, the best apparel in the market, Alpha Elite. Go check out the description. It's got my link there to go get all of my apparel. Use my discount. I will see you guys on the next video.